I had the privilege of nominating Rich for this fellowship because his work represents the kind of leadership that our city needs more of. Leadership that is not performative, that does not wait for permission. Leadership that is grounded in proximity to the people, the issues, and the systems that most need to be transformed. Rich is the founder and executive director of Equity and Transformation, known as EAT. It's a Chicago-based organization that's advancing social and economic equity for Black informal workers and formerly incarcerated people. Through EAT, Rich has helped build power among people who are too often excluded from traditional systems of labor, philanthropy, policy, and public imagination. His work insists that the people closest to injustice are not merely recipients of services or subjects of policy conversation, but that they are the strategists, the leaders, and the visionaries, that they are the ones who can help us build something better. What I appreciate most about Rich is that he brings both sharp analysis and deep humanity to his work. He understands policy, organizing, narrative, and power, but he also understands people. He understands what it means to be counted out and what it means to return to community with purpose and what it means to turn lived experience into a blueprint for transformation. Rich's leadership stretches across many forms. He is an organizer, an advocate, a writer, an artist, and a builder. But across all of those roles, there is a consistent thread. He is committed to expanding what is possible for Black Chicagoans, especially those who have been pushed to the margins and told that their experiences do not belong in the center of public conversation. That is why this recognition is so well deserved. The Donald Stewart Fellowship honors leaders who are doing work that is both urgent and enduring, and Rich's work is exactly that. It challenges us to think differently about justice, about labor, re-entry, and community power, and what equity truly requires from all of us. So it is my honor and my joy to introduce this year's Donald Stewart Fellow, someone I so deeply respect and admire, and I was proud to nominate, Richard Wallace.
Proud of you, Rick. Proud of you. So proud, so proud, Rick. All right. Okay. That's a lot. Deeply grateful to be here. Thank you so much for the award. The team is here. My sister Kenneth, who this story would not be possible without that sister there. My mother's in the room, wife in the room, and my peers, my colleagues are in the room. I emailed some of y'all, cold emails, and worked our way to where we are now, right? So I wrote this down because my mother's a minister and I don't want to start preaching up here, so I wrote down what I wanted. Good evening, my name is Richard Wallace, and I'm the executive director and founder of Equity and Transformation, also known as EAT. I'm the son of Reverend Doris Green, Eugene Wallace, and Minister Michael Smith. I'm the grandson of Woodrow Wallace, Alma Wallace from Jackson, Mississippi. I'm the grandson of Columbus Taylor and Allie Johnson from Arkansas. Both sides of my family were raised in the Jim Crow South, both descendants of chattel slavery, both called Chicago home. And I am here, in 2026, over 100 years later, still fighting for recognition of the harms they endured, all while feeling the advancements they made slip through the cracks of my fingers. We used to think of these threats as ghosts. We used to call them ghosts. Specters in history that might return if we were not vigilant. But it's no longer a ghost. It's here, it has a body, it has a gavel, and it has a docket number. You can see it if you look closely at the Supreme Court decisions. Pass versus Johnson 2024, in a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court held that cities could enforce public camping bans against unhoused people, even when no shelter beds are available. This decision has opened the door for laws like HB 211 in Louisiana, the so-called Streets to Success Act, now advancing through the state legislature, which would force unhoused citizens to labor free or face incarceration where they will ultimately labor free. Please note that roughly 60% of Louisiana's unhoused population is Black, in a state that's only 30% Black. This is not coincidence, this is design. Or you can look at the case of Louisiana versus Callis in 2026. In another 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court gutted the core enforcement mechanism of the Voting Rights Act, making it functionally legal for any state to dilute Black voting power and call it partisanship. What my grandparents marched for, bled for, in some cases died for, is being dismantled with the stroke of a pen. So when I say I'm fighting, I'm not speaking as a metaphor. And yet here I stand, not in defeat and determination. Donald Stewart understood something that we must remember now, that investing in Black leadership is not charity, it is strategy. It is survival. It is the only way that systems actually change. He led Spelman College. He led the College Board. He led this very institution, the Chicago Community Trust. At every stop, he opened doors. He built infrastructure. He made room. This fellowship bearing his name does the same. It says, we see you, we believe in what you are building, and we are willing to invest in what comes next. I accept this honor on behalf of the over 2.2 million adults in Illinois who carry a criminal record. A mark that follows us into every job interview, every housing application, every attempt to rebuild our lives. That is nearly 1 in 5 adults in this state. And their stories are often erased from our public policy conversations. I accept this honor on behalf of the 3,000 members of Equity and Transformation, EAT. Jaleeses, I'm gonna name them, Jaleesa, Solomon, right? The street vendors, the gig workers, the formerly incarcerated people who refuse to be invisible. I accept this on behalf of the families who received our guaranteed income through the Chicago Future Fund. Wouldn't have been possible without the trust. Who used that money not for luxury, but for stability, for breath, for one less impossible choice. I accept it on behalf of the 800,000 people whose records were expunged because we fought for a cannabis policy that remembered to, go ahead. I'm gonna finish. I said I accept this on behalf of the 800,000 people whose records were expunged because we fought for a cannabis policy that remembered who paid the price for prohibition. Shout out to Caitlin Johnson. I accept this on behalf of Woodrow, Alma, Columbus, Alley, Reverend Doris Green, Eugene, Minister Mike, and the ones who made a way out of no way so that I could be here tonight. Talk about it. The work ahead for me is clear. A fundamental question keeps me up at night. How do we build racial justice that lasts? How do we create change so deep and foundational that it can't be swept away with the next political tide? The answer that keeps resurfacing for me is reparations. Reparations isn't charity. It's a commitment to restore our communities, rehabilitate the people who live there, compensate the survivors, and guarantee the harm won't replicate in the future. It has happened for many people before, and it is our turn. When I founded Equity and Transformation, I chose that name deliberately. Equity without transformation is temporary. It is vulnerable. It is what we've been doing for decades and is why we keep losing ground. We stand at a crossroad. We can continue the cycle of progress and backlash, building programs that the next election can sweep away, or we can finally address the fundamental injustice that makes all our work vulnerable. The question is not whether America can afford reparations. The question is, can we truly achieve equity without it? The time for transformation is now. The foundation we build today will determine what our children will inherit, and if they will inherit the same struggles, or will they finally inherit justice. Donald Stewart believed that philanthropy, at its best, is about investing in the potential of an individual to yield the greatest impact in our community. I pledge to honor that investment to the family, not with gratitude alone, but with action, not with hope alone, but with strategy, and not with memory alone, but with the future we are building together. Thank you all very much for having me.